everybody. Welcome to episode 193 of Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. Today we are celebrating. That's right, the Wings off the schneid, breaking that 3-game losing streak, back on the winning side after we take down the Islanders. Still have playoff spot. That's right, Mike. We are holding the last wild card spot in the East. It's funny, like, you're frozen right now in your celebration dance, but I think the internet connection is really bad again. So you were freezing the whole time. Anyway,
oh man,
like,
all my cool dance moves
so
were for naught. What a waste.
It's just, yeah, you got a freeze frame. It was pretty cool.
Hey, shout out to Jay Giles and the boys. I don't know if anybody knows that reference. How are we still having a clinging to a playoff spot? Oh, because we've played 4 more games in Boston. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's performance there. What's up? Ciao a tutti.
Ciao a tutti to you.
I hope I'm not saying that wrong. Yeah, that's one of the things on Twitter right now is everybody begging folks not to bring up the points percentage, but let's just enjoy the moment and the playoff spot that we currently hold. Yeah, but I mean, if we were honest, I mean, we've got some troubles ahead, and there's some rough waters.
That's all right.
And we'll go over a little bit later, right?
Yeah, let's do that. But I know we want to hone in on a couple things today. A little home cooking, some folks playing real well against some Islanders, and I don't think we made time for it on the last episode because I don't think it had occurred yet. But a breaking news, long-term contract signed by Yzerman for one of Matt's favorite Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, right. I completely forgot to make a slide for that, but I think I put it in the notes.
Yeah, I don't know how you forgot. He's one of your favorite Red Wings, Matt. Of course, I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek because I'm always making the case for this guy, and Matt is always bringing me back down to earth with the deep-cut analytics. And even in the
fine.
He's good. He does some positive things, Matt, and he's on the right side of 35. So I like this deal.
The right side of 35.
Honestly, is he even 25 yet?
He's on the right side of 50. So he could still play. He's.
Let's zone it in. Do you want to talk Islanders, or do you want to talk? Let's talk this contract, Matt.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. I don't. Oh, good gravy. Come on. Go to half of the screen like you're supposed to. There you go. There it is. Everybody already knew what we were talking about. All right, so Fabbri's got his 3-year deal, $4 million per year. A little bit. It's in a good spot, right? Like if you're comparing him across the rest of the team, it makes sense. Like where Bertuzzi's at and Larkin's at, they're above him. It's one of those things where when I saw the number initially, I was kind of like, all right, I guess that's fine. Like, I don't know if I had to guess what his salary number would be, or you know what? That's the wrong question. If I had to tell you what salary number I wanted Fabbri to be at, it probably wouldn't have cracked 4, but it doesn't really matter. It's only a 3-year contract. He's still pretty young, and it just can't hurt us. I think that's the benefit probably not the benefit. Benefit's the wrong word. It's the second time and one explanation that I've chosen the wrong word. But I mean, it's mutually beneficial deal, right? So it can't hurt the Red Wings, and it's at that point. Even if I wasn't expecting 4, it's still pretty fair value. So Robby Fabbri isn't getting screwed out of some money that he's owed, which is something that you and I have actually campaigned for a couple of players in previous contracts that they should have been paid more. So it's just, if I had to pick a guy on this team, I wouldn't have said Robby Fabbri, who has struggled defensively since becoming a Detroit Red Wing and before becoming a Detroit Red Wing, is one of the guys that I would have pegged to be the first to get everything.
Let me ask you 2 questions. Is Fabbri on the second line worth 4? Well, I don't want to round it up because I think it sounds better. Is he worth 4.8?
Fine.
Wait,
Yeah,
is he worth
$4 million on the second line is fine. Like that.
No, I was
like
going to
said,
ask. He's 4.87% of the cap space.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that you think that that's a fine number? Even if he's 4.87% of the cap space, I think fingers crossed on the third line, because that would mean that we have some more depth at the NHL level.
Right. And you got to figure, too, as we continue to fill out this team, there's going to be a lot of room for extra cap because we're going to keep filtering in younger guys, and those entry-level contracts are going to figure into play. So we'll be happy. It's not going to kill us. This is that point for the Detroit Red Wings where we're not forced to nickel and dime guys, and I think Robby Fabbri's benefiting from it. Soap dish thrown out there. We overpaid. He's a third liner, in my opinion. Right. And like we talked about just a minute ago, he plays some first line for us for $4 million for a second liner. Doesn't hurt at all. But right. Even I will say, Soap dish, even when he hits the third line, we're still going to be fine because we're going to have so many young guys that are coming in and out trying the third and fourth line positions. Even in the second line, we'll have some guys that are severely underpaid. Think about, the likes of Moritz Seider and Lucas Raymond. Right now, current financial projections show that the next big expansion of the cap, Mike, is going to be when Seider and Raymond are getting their new contracts. So this just flat out doesn't hurt us in any way, shape, or form. And like I said, Fabbri's getting money and probably more than he deserved, like we've discussed. So,
I think they're not paying him for past performance. They're paying him for. We still think that he has room to grow. He doesn't have the injury bug that was bothering him in St. Louis. Maybe we could still kind of teach him how to play some defense. And it looks like we have some prospects coming up. And this is going to be a pretty interesting guy to have on your third line. I guess my question for you, Matt, is we know that the Red Wings cap sheet, going into the next offseason, and especially the season after that, where essentially it's going to be a team of Fabbri and Rasmussen and Hronek. Why, knowing that we have so many guys coming off the books next season, why do you think Fabbri was the first domino to get a deal of all those names?
So let's go through that list, right? Whose contracts up?
Yeah, I'll throw them in there for you because I have it up.
We're looking at. I pulled it up.
Yeah, we're looking at Nemesnikov, restricted free agent deal for Zadina, and then you're looking at Gagne. I don't know if you want to count Carter Rowney, but we know all those left-sided defensemen are all coming up too. Nick Leddy, DeKaiser, and then potentially Thomas Greiss
isn't going to be a factor, right? Greiss is a contract you have to worry about.
Stetcher, Mark Stahl, another restricted free agent, which man, he's really making it tough to get a long-term deal. Is Mitchell Stevens, who's hurt again. But yeah, of those names, why do you think Fabbri was first?
I think it just comes back to our conversation about how excited we all are for some of our defensive prospects, which I've scrolled down to get a shot at looking at them. And we don't really have a lot of forward prospects. We're going to talk later in the show about how Taro Hirose is getting another shot coming up, probably because of Fabbri and Rasmussen hitting COVID protocol. But that's not a name you get excited about. Taro Hirose is 25 in our prospect episode. I stated like I'm counting him because I knew he was going to get another shot in the lineup this season. But, it was like I briefly went over Taro Hirose because the asterisk that goes along with that is he is forever a Grand Rapids Griffin, and he will every now and then get a shot with the Wingdings. And that's a pretty good career, Mike, for a hockey player. So I think there's a lot to be desired on the forward side. And if Steve's looking at upcoming free agent market and he knows he's building some chemistry with the Robby Fabbri, and this is a guy that he specifically traded for too. So there's always that, I think, that comes into play. As much as we all love Steve Yzerman, sometimes you have to look at what GMs do as a whole, and they do like to double down on their own deals to kind of
Yeah, like they're handpicked guys over,
Exactly. And
the
who's
previous
not a
brain
handpicked
trust
guy? Somebody had to make sure they brought that up to me. Was Zadina? So I wonder if this contract was just easier to get done and have it out of the way. And it's probably how the dominoes would have fell if Zadina was going into the offseason, with his restricted free agent contract still needed to be signed, and then Fabbri's contract needed to be signed. I bet Fabbri still would have signed first. So he's probably getting some, like I said, you know what? You just want to get your ducks in a row. You want to get some things crossed off. And I feel like that's what this kind of was, because if this was a longer deal or something like that, then yeah, I think this conversation would have gone a little bit longer. I don't think you'd have a contract out there right now that would have been offered to Fabbri for anything longer than this. It's just I'll come back to that the phrase of mutually beneficial. I think this is going to fill a hole for the Wings somewhere, even if it is an overpay for a couple of seasons. Those are going to be seasons where we're not strapped for cash, so it's completely fine. And we keep going into every season, starting the conversation, is this going to be the season where we start to spend? But even in the scenario where we do finally spend and pick up a couple of huge guys, there's still a ton of room. I mean, it's not like you increase Robby Fabbri's contract from in the 100,000 range, sub million, and now he's getting paid $4 million. You gave him a pay increase of $1.05 million. So it's fine. There's nothing here. Yeah, I think that's the long and short of it. If some people want to talk about that Zadina's on his way out and they need to make sure that they have a winger, and I don't know if that's what you were insinuating. My first guess is that the 22-year-old forward who shows a lot of effort and promise defensively is not the first guy you want to ship out. But if there's a deal out there, maybe that came into play. But I don't think you sign a guy with an expiring contract because you have another trade coming through, right? Like, there's no rush to sign Robby Fabbri. I think this is more about things lining up contract length-wise and the dollar amount not being too out of. It's a good value for Robby Fabbri. I would say. It's in that range. You probably have plus or minus $500,000 to keep him in the happy range.
Yeah, I mean, for a player that we know, Fabbri's shown flashes as far as goal scoring goes, and how tough it's been for this Red Wing team to get goals, especially outside of this first line, and we're relying so heavily on my God, is he still? Yeah, he's still 19 years old, and Lucas Raymond. So I feel like with Fabbri, it's almost like I wasn't surprised when I saw this, come across like the crawl, because I mean they're getting a guy that Yzerman picked. They're getting a guy who still has prime years ahead of him, at age 25. So you're going to be paying, a 26, 27, 28-year-old, all his prime years, about $4 million. And I don't think that's, that much.
Right on the button, $4 million.
Yeah, right on the button.
Oh, no. Mike, did I lose you? Or did
no,
you guys
I'm still
lose
here.
Me?
Oh, no, I think you're still there. Yeah, but I mean, as far as the other options go, I think it would boil down to Nick Leddy, Nemesnikov, or Zadina. And I feel like Leddy, being 30, and he's been serviceable. I don't think he's blown anybody, out of the water with his play. But I mean, there's still whispers about him being trade bait, and you don't add years to a guy's contract if he's potentially going to get traded at the deadline. And the Red Wings kind of tumble down the standings a little bit.
Soapdish is making the argument. He thinks Fabbri is now more appealing because he has that longer term contract.
I don't think that's the move. I think Yzerman is planning on keeping this guy around for a little bit. I think the weird one is Nemesnikov, if only because I didn't realize he was so close to 30. And that's going to be kind of a tough contract because we know how many different hats that guy wears as a Red Wing. Where he kind of had that little burst of offense to start the season. And he was, one of our top goal scorers. But we rely on him so heavily on the penalty kill to play defense. He takes face off. He'll play either wing. So is he a guy who's like in line for a Fabbri like raise? Because we got him for a song, with 2 million. And so I feel like as far as why Fabbri first, I think Nemestikov is probably thinking I probably played myself into a raise, and I don't know if that's something that Yzerman wants to pay to a guy who's about to turn 30. And then with Zadina,
I would.
There's no way Zadina would sign a contract right now before the goals are on the stat sheet. That's the guy who's going to wait till the offseason.
That's the game I play in the video game. I have some guy go on a cold streak for a little bit, and I'm like, all right, time to sign this guy. We're going to get him about 2 or 3 million under value right now. That's
yeah.
What if I have a big in the video game? If I have a big guy, big like one of my highest overalls, like his contract's coming up, and I can get them to sign their next contract. I will simulate that season because I know the video game is not going to play as good as me. So I'll simulate like half that season, go in. He's got like 20 points in 40 games, and he's my top forward. Now he's signing 7 years for, $6 million. And then I can just, I'll jump back in at that point. He'll finish the year, win the MVP.
That's give the people what they want, Matt. They love hearing Matt's fantasy hockey video game team.
That's how you do it, folks.
It just feels like a no-brainer to me. This is a guy with prime years ahead of him. I don't feel like we've seen the best out of Fabbri. It feels like he does get better from season to season. And the other options, we know Zadina wants to do more before he signs. We know Nemestikov is, that's going to be a tough deal to figure out the math on.
I will say this. I think Nemestikov could have been picked up by Seattle. And I think he came here because there wasn't a lot of I don't think there were a lot of offers when we picked him up, to be completely honest. And then this was something too where he could come home of sorts. So I think Nemestikov is one of those deals that he'll fall in the same range, and you could even decrease his pay because he is getting older and he's coming outside of that age range where your play statistically declines. So Nemestikov, I think, is a much easier deal to sign. But yeah, I don't think there was any. I don't think there's a huge chance that Leddy's coming back. I don't know. I don't. I think they're ready to start making space. So I just don't see that contract getting signed. But I'm ready to move on. I'm hemming and hawing.
Yeah, I think it's just interesting because it talks so much about like the philosophy of Yzerman, like managing a team.
I think the main thing for this is that you said you think Fabbri has more to give. I think if he has less to give, if it declines, this still doesn't hurt us because we're going to be in a great range of like losing that contract. It's not super lengthy, it's still something where he'll produce. So I think he could still decline, and this deal doesn't bother me. I did want to talk about Mike. Oh my gosh! All right, well, I gotta
get that wreath out of there.
I gotta figure out this overlay. I thought this was a really good idea. I like that the score, NHL, if Ovechkin catches Gretzky, this is what they posted this morning. Credit his massive edge in overtime goals. I thought this was hilarious, Mike, because Canada, Mike, is shaking in their boots. Ovi's going to do it. We all know he's going to do it. He's going to break Gretzky's record. But Mike, did you know that Canada will be forced to disband as a functioning governing body when Ovechkin breaks the record? Did you know why? That would be the reason why Canada is so scared of Ovechkin to break this record. Honestly, Mike, I can't get enough of this because I know he's going to break the record. And seeing Canada shaking their boots, that like some of the messages I saw today said, I want the great one to stay the great one. And that's why they don't want Ovechkin to break the record. Like, I got those replies today on Twitter. I don't get, like, that's too bad. He's already the best goal scorer in the NHL of all time for me. This is a guy tougher competition, tougher goaltenders, harder rules, and
leg pads.
Yeah, I don't know what game are we playing where we're still gonna go like when goalies were trying to do toe kicks to stop pucks. That makes Gretzky the better goal scorer. Not even close. Ovechkin, best goal scorer of all time in the NHL. I hope we get the comments too to fight that, to fight us. But if you're still not on board, if you still think Gretzky's the best goal scorer of all time just because of the number, I'm sorry. He could still be the great one. That's fine. He did pretty good with assists, Mike. But Ovechkin, clearly, he's going to break this record eventually, and he's had tougher competition. Let's right? Are we all done? I think the Red Wings Rant faithful agree. Performance art said it best. Like, even when Ovi breaks Gretzky is still Gretzky. Like, I don't know why Canada so like they're trying to make excuses for this. Like, Ovechkin's going to be like calling Gretzky the greatest goal scorer of all time isn't really what it has ever been about, right? And not in my book. It's he was the great one because it was like the probably.
Is this just some patriotism here? So it's like, I mean, this is all we got, eh? If we lose hockey, what do we got left? Maple syrup and polar bears. I mean.
Jared Shaw thinks Mickey's going to throw a ginger ale at me for this comment. I'm fine with that. You know what?
Even if you lose hockey, Canada, you still win comedy, right?
Yeah, you still got comedy.
All of our favorite people are from the North. I mean, Martin like the Jim Carreys. Yeah.
All right. Well, I just wanted to bring this up to see if I could get anybody angry. But clearly, we don't have too much content here. But yeah, go Ovechkin. He's good in my book.
Yeah, I don't feel like we need to do an asterisk right now. If we're going to do asterisks, we should bring up the goalies that the two of those guys have faced. That would be a pretty long series of asterisks.
Yeah, just the skill level. That's all we got to talk about. It's not even.
I mean, Gretzky took advantage of the situation he was in, right?
Yeah, good for him.
If I were to compare the two worlds, it's kind of like for me, Michael Jordan did win more titles than LeBron James. No question about it. But Jordan, I don't feel like he battled against any excellent teams where, like, LeBron faced some historical obstacles in his way, like the Golden State Warriors with one of the great offensive teams ever created.
The greatest three-point shooter of all time.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
in a game that was focused on three-point shooting. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. They're both excellent in their own way. I do feel like objectively, though, because I know you're a bigger, hockey fan than I am. It just feels like you can kind of size up, the experience that both of them had about to shoot the same puck from the same spot on the ice, and it's just feels like worlds of different in terms of the difficulty level. It just feels like Ovi had a tougher experience. I mean, we know what Gretzky's life was like.
I mean, the scouting too. Like, think about the expansion of where you can find players now, comparing two generations. It's just the game's better.
It feels like a more global approach too. Like you're playing the best players in the world. Where I don't think we've quite gotten that reach. Expanded that far yet in the NHL when Gretzky was great. So he's playing a lot of excellent Canadians and Americans.
Here you go, Mike. So
the best era. Get out of here. What are you gonna bring John Stockton to the table? Get out of here, Soapfish. Ooh, the mailman, Karl Malone. Get out of here.
No. Mike, you had the dream team.
Gary Payton and the Pips. Woo!
Think about everybody on the dream team, Mike.
Yeah, a bunch of has-beens. Broken Isaiah Thomas, broken Magic Johnson, and broken Larry Legend Bird.
I just meant he faced those guys while they were somewhat
broken.
Performance art ending the conversation here because I agree with this and we'll move on. Gretzky will go down as the best all-around player.
Is it though? I mean,
right. I was going to say
about Pavel
game.
Have we forgotten about Pavel already? Come on,
and then Ovi will just be the greatest goal scorer. So I guess I kind of half agree with that performance art. But yeah, I mean, this is about Ovi being the greatest goal scorer, and I hope I said that enough times so far. But here's Soap Dish. He's got Magic. He's got Bird.
At the end of their careers?
I don't even know who
Idaho
is.
Yeah, who's Idaho? Is that the Great Potato? Larry Legend, the Big Potato? Who's that?
No, and Mike's not saying that those guys were bad, but I think as every sport has progressed, the talent level has too. The strategy has progressed. Like, people have figured out what Michael Jordan was able to do, and they've created defenses to stop that. So that's like, as the sport progresses, as the players are scouted across the planet, the game gets better. So I think that's really the long and short of it. So sure, there are our favorite players of all time played in different eras, but it has gone miles beyond every sport. Football, baseball, soccer, hockey, basketball. They have gone miles beyond where the sport was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It's just, that's what happens with every facet of life. Like, we are constantly improving. That's my argument, at least. Here we go. Mike, speaking of future, Lucas Raymond, Moritz Seider. Mike, I'm starting to shake in my own boots right now, as Canada is right now, as Ovechkin catches Gretzky.
Are you worried about your Calder over there, man?
I'm worried about my bet for Lucas Raymond, because Moritz Seider looked so goddamn good last night, getting the puck to Larkin for that power play goal. I mean, should I pull up the play? I should probably pull up the play. Give me a minute, folks. I'll pull up the play here. You guys can watch it with us. But I will say, we're going to limit the replays tonight, because we did get our last episode. We got in trouble. We got little slap on the wristy here. So we'll be quick.
Did we have the sound on for a second, or what?
I don't know what happened. I was pretty sure that I kept it off, but we got in trouble anyway. So let's just, we'll do it quick. We'll try not to just share the video. I'm going to try and stop it, and we'll slow it down. So anybody listening to the podcast, you're going to have a dandy old time, because you won't be able to hear or see any of it. But everybody watching on YouTube, come join us. There's
man,
sound.
I got audio.
All right. No, it's back.
Man, you're trying to get us canceled. What are you doing?
Rewind. Come back here. All right. So, Seider's getting the puck in the back here. This is from our boy Lucky Luke Raymond. Look, now this is why this is so important. Seider's going to rag the puck just long enough that they're going to make it more difficult for any of, you know what, you guys can't see my mouse, but or my cursor. But the beauty of this play is Seider's going to bring more Islanders toward him and further away from Larkin. That's going to give him more time to get the puck on the net. Now, I am not watching this play thinking, wow, what a shot by Larkin. It's more or less just making sure that we do get this shot on net. And that's where this whole play revolves around Mo Seider and what he's doing here with the puck. And it's a great job by Lucas to make sure the puck gets to Seider. And it isn't a bad job by Larkin to make sure the puck is thrown at the net. But this entire play, this entire play is Mo Seider. So, there's my cursor. You can see it. So there's Seider. He's got the puck on the left-hand side of your screen. And we're going to kind of bring this up slowly. But look at this move where he's putting his body out in front of the Islander player so he can rag it for that much longer. Now, if you look on the bottom part of the screen, look at where Larkin is and all the space he's going to have. And the longer that, when we back up here, the longer that Seider's holding this, the more space that he's getting. Larkin finally has the puck. And these Islanders aren't going to have enough time to be able to block it or make the right positional move to make sure that this isn't as good as a shot on net as Larkin's going to get. And, of course, on its way in, bounces off a couple of folks. And if I could hit play, we've got a goal.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that a few times, whether it's defensively or offensively, making a smart play like that for Seider, or I've seen him a few times, like on some penalty kills where he's really good at lining up a dump right to the other side of the ice before he just launches it, and it just gives you that extra couple seconds where the other team's like maybe starting to skate towards him a little bit, and they're wasting time doing that, and then he gets to burn a couple more seconds while they're coming towards him. Then he gets to dump it all the way to the other side. The guy's he's too smart for how young he is, and he has no NHL experience except for this season. So it's pretty stunning. Just these, what a second, how much difference a second can make. And it feels like he's really got that awareness. He's really cognizant of that. And it shows up all over the stat sheet. That's how he's getting all those assists and, being such a positive factor because he is doing those smart little moves. And I got to think Blashill's just got to be on the bench. We got to start having Blashill cam every time Seider's out there, just doing that dad kind of shaking the head. I'm so proud of you. Look.
So performance art thrown out there. He just gets it. Jared, low offensive potential in quotes. Did I miss something? Is that?
I'm pretty sure that was 3 or 4 articles on The Athletic, Jared. But did you have someone specific who said that? What was one of the scouting reports who dropped that one?
But yeah, I mean, this is. I just didn't know if you were. Yeah, if somebody made that comment about Seider is why I kind of wanted to point that out. Performance art thrown out there too. I can't remember ever seeing a defensive player this young playing this well beyond his years. Soap Dish's comment that was about our previous conversation where he says most things don't progress. That's nuts. So let's fast forward because he was talking about our other conversation about how sports don't progress. Mo Seider is a great example of how you've been able to develop players and find them across the planet and helped your own sport in your country get better because Mo Seider looks amazing. And how many guys in the league are actually from Germany? You've got Leon Draisaitl, scatter of a few, but we're going to be scouting in this country
Tim
more because we
Stützle?
see the potential. Exactly. Talking about Soap Dish, because Mike Hughes throwing in jabs while we were doing our replays. He's like, not true at all. Most things don't progress. That's nuts. Soap Dish, that is, I don't know, man. You're crazy to say most things don't progress.
Just look at cell phones.
I don't know. Most things don't. Everything progresses, my man. I don't know. You've really got me.
Maybe I think he's dropped some sarcasm.
He's got me shook.
Yeah, he's
got me shook. Yeah. Jared, when he was drafted. Okay, thank you. That's what that quote was from. I mean, remember the hush that fell over the crowd when Yzerman went for Peter? No, it wasn't even a hush. It was like, oh.
It was collective laughter.
Yeah. I remember we made fun of it when our first episode started, that we used to be able to have drops. So we had a drop from TSN where they were actually like, they cut to the guys at the table, guys at the booth, and they were all laughing at the Red Wings for taking Mo Seider. I think maybe it wasn't TSN, it was Sportsnet because it was Jeff Merrick, and they closed in on Jeff Merrick, and he was like, well, there's your first pick from Steve Yzerman. I don't know. Like I don't know if that's on the button, if that's verbatim, but it's pretty close. Where even Jeff Merrick, who all he does is watch. This sounds weird. All he does is watch kids play hockey. Didn't get.
Yeah, I remember them having a lot of issues. Like I don't know what highlight we're going to show. This is a shocking pick. When you read those articles the next day, you're on the Bleacher Reports, you're on ESPN, and they're like, who won night 1 of the draft? Draft losers. Yzerman. Who's Mo Seider? We don't know him. C-. And it's like, they were all wrong. So feels pretty good.
Yeah, it feels good. All right. So we went over this for a second. But I guess, I brought up that part of the replay. We can transition into the rest of the game. Because, now I'm shaking in my boots, Mike, because I think we're really impressed with Lucas Raymond. But we see more of these, like, the hockey IQ is, like, through the roof kind of plays from Mo Seider. We see more of them than we do see from Lucas. And I think Lucas has incredible ability. I'm not taking anything away. I put my money on Lucas Raymond, goddammit. But I think Mo Seider's starting to edge. If they play this right and judge it by not only production, but also like positionally, what are they doing right? I think right. I mean, like through 25, 26 games, who would you pick right now? I'd pick Moritz Seider.
I think
it's not like
as far
Lucas
as like an elongated impact on shifts and other players. I think it has to be Seider because we've talked about it many times where it kind of feels like he's got I mean, he's got a defensive pairing on the ice, but it's kind of like, whoever had that honor of playing with Lindstrom, who's suddenly going to have an excellent game and their plus minus goes up and suddenly they're getting assists. I mean, you're suddenly just getting an amazing impact every time Seider's out there. And Lucas, I don't really want to, risk it, but I mean, we have to admit he is playing with Larkin, he is playing with Bertuzzi, he is, getting a lot of power play time, so that's going to help with his numbers. He's incredibly skilled. You're right. So every time we, add these caveats, it kind of feels like we're knocking him down a peg. But it just feels like if one position was a little bit, I don't know if I want to use the word easier, but like easier to succeed, it would maybe be Lucas because of where he's at. Where Seider, I feel like he has so much more responsibility already. And Mag 4973 just dropping everybody in there, and you absolutely should, Mag. All three rookies are lifting this team up.
Yeah, because that's the other element of this game that we need to talk about is Nedeljkovic and how insanely well he's been playing at home. But Mag 4973, thanks for joining us. I can't say that I remember sharing too many of your comments, so I'm glad you're here. But I think I've got that. I think I've got that somewhere around here. Because what you want to do when you're thinking about these statistics that I'm about to show, good gravy, that's tiny. I gotta blow this up for myself so I can read it. What we're looking at is Sorokin and Nedeljkovic compared to each other, but really you just want to focus on Nedeljkovic. I mean, besides the letting in a goal late in the third period, this was pretty much a shutout. Now these are these statistics for 5-on-5. So I think they had an empty net is why. That's why Nedeljkovic is still at 0 goals against while it was even strength. So he actually finishes this game, Mike. 5-on-5, shutout. Bingo, bango. His goals saved above expected actually jumps into like the 4 range if you count the entire game, especially with what was going on at the end of the game. But 2.67 for 5-on-5 play. Very good. That's amazing, actually. I think even for his whole season right now, he's only a smidge above 0. So that kicks him pretty far into it. And that just goes to show, we've been talking about this 500 team, how it's kind of like, looks like one game on, one game off. And maybe now we're seeing it's more like, are we playing at home or away? Definitely the same games being played with Nedeljkovic here. And this was that home game to turn everything around. And he's really showing off. I don't know. They've been talking about his ability to play with the puck. That's actually making waves nationally. Like people are bringing up these statistics where he's going full games without making an error while handling the puck, and he's also handling the puck 3 times as much as other goaltenders. So he's adding this new element to the game that is going to be something interesting for Steve as he continues to build this team, and he's trying to figure out which defensemen are going to help us win a cup. Like who are going to what defensemen are going to work well if we're going to hang on to Nedeljkovic kind of thing. Like that is special. That's like you have a catcher doing something different for a pitcher kind of thing, or you have a pitcher throwing a knuckleball to a catcher, like you've got to find the catcher that can actually do that. So at some point with the way that Nedeljkovic plays the puck, you're going to have to start building your team around that if you want him to last long term. That's a conversation for another day. Very interesting, very fun.
Yeah, but I mean, the stick handling is incredible. I mean, he's really talented at it. I hope you get to watch him in person because there's a lot of plays you don't necessarily get to focus on, watching it from the TV broadcast. But I say the other thing too is I can't remember – God, maybe since 2002, with Hasek, the last time the Red Wings really had one of those goalies who had just like the poetry in motion, where they, almost, doing the Cirque du Soleil ballet acts out there with, some of these miracle moves that he can make with some of the saves. I feel like we've had kind of a long string of guys who, even, I don't want to just throw shade at Jimmy Howard because he had some successful years with us. Just kind of more, I'd say kind of stay-at-home goalies where I don't expect a lot of flash or sizzle or, anything like that coming out of them. And it feels like Nedeljkovic is the first one we've had in a while, and it feels like he's pretty damn good at it. Did you want to touch on that too?
I mean, I've
like stylistically.
I've said kind of where my head was at, but I mean, like if you
But
want
it
to talk
doesn't
about
feel like irresponsible. It doesn't feel like irresponsible like the moves he makes. Like sometimes Hasek, you'd be like, Jesus Christ, just make the easy save, and it still feels like Nedeljkovic is doing a really good job, kind of being between those two worlds.
I would say he's progressed throughout the season because there were instances early on in the season where you were kind of like, oh God, because one, you weren't ready for it, you weren't used to it yet, but two, there were a couple of mistakes early on that actually, I think, very early on even cost us games. So I think the good thing is that he never let go of it, right? Like he didn't say, I've got to adjust my game. Clearly, this isn't going to work. Instead, he improved it. He doubled down. And he's making it work. I mean, that's one of those things. Like if you're going through like business classes or like leadership training, you're not supposed to drop that kind of stuff. Drop the stuff that makes you unique. You've got to work on it. And if it doesn't work for a little bit, that doesn't mean it needs to go away. That means you got to figure it out and improve on what's going on. Figure out what's going wrong and see if you can find a way to make it better. But I think that's where you got to pat him on the back, is that he was steadfast. He didn't just give up on it because there were a couple of mistakes. And now, really, he's going to carry this in his game through the rest of the season. And like I mentioned a minute ago, I think in the long term, this could really come into play in like fixing how this team is going to be built. But in the short run, it's going to be fun to make sure we're getting more pucks away from the net and getting the puck out of the zone, which is huge. It's something we've struggled with for years. And if he's going to be stick handling the way he is, he's essentially given us that extra boost to get the puck out. And you look in years past where we've been some of the worst team in the league the last few years of being able to get the puck out of the zone. It solves a lot of problems. It's pretty simple. It's you come back to like the natural, you hit the ball, you catch the ball, you throw the ball, you get the puck out of the zone, you get it in the other team's zone, and you throw it at the goalie. That's pretty much the long and short of it with hockey. So if you can have a goalie that's going to help you get the puck out quicker or just limit the chance, something we've been talking about all season. I don't know what else to say. It's just thumbs up all around. I did want to bring up, speaking of limiting chances, I'm going in the wrong direction for my slides here, but how about all these boys limiting chances, Mike? Zadina, Lindstrom, Osterley, Ernie, and Rasmussen. Rasmussen probably playing his best game of the year. Of course, now he's going to be going on COVID protocol, which we'll talk about in a second.
I could not have come at a worse time.
I'd give all these guys an A+. And I did want to bring up Crimson Shadow, I think, throughout there. He felt bad for Zadina. Dude was just getting shut down by Sorokin. This is another Zadina game. Classic Zadina game. Everything is going right from an effort and decision standpoint. Just the puck's not going in the net. And I mean, we're talking about some empty net chances too late in the game. So this is something for Zadina that this goes beyond this I don't know if it is coaching, right? I mean, you said it in some previous episodes, like this is mental. So I mean, how do you solve that problem when it truly is mental? And there's so many things that are pointing at Zadina for every game to just add more evidence to the pool, including Mike, his reaction every time he gets one of those open looks and his immediate response. You'd like to think that these guys just let it roll, roll right off their back and they're just going to go into the next play. You got to be a goldfish, as we learned from the Apple TV
the short
series.
Memory. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But I gotta say,
what's the TV show called? No,
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's,
Nobody watches
show.
Apple TV, man. No.
It's the soccer show. What the hell's it called? Somebody in the comments.
Soccer and Apple TV. Come on, man. Are you talking about Jason Sudeikis?
Yes. What's the show called?
I don't watch Apple TV or soccer. I don't know. I let you down. With Zadina, I think you're nuts if you watch these games. If you actually watch the games, there's no way you could be throwing shade at this guy. Because, I mean, Would you rather have some goof get a fluky hat trick, one magical miracle night, or Zadina night in, night out, just being on the cusp and still making a bunch of smart defensive plays? And Ted, thank you, performance art. Ted Lasso saving the Red Wings rant here. Appreciate it. You take Zadina night in, night out, and I talked about it last episode. I think Blashill does too. When we talk about why isn't Zadina on the first line, it's because we trust this guy to carry a second line, or if you're gonna say a third line, but you trust him because he makes so many good decisions for the benefit of everybody else on the shift.
Well, I mean, Bertuzzi goes into COVID protocol again, so Zadina will be on the first line now with.
Fantastic.
I'm kidding. Of course, Bertuzzi's
probably gonna be Fabbri,
but yeah, I think we saw Tara Hirose getting called up, and we have that in the notes. So it's one of those things where, like, a lot of things are gonna have to go wrong for Zadina to get that shot on the first line. Like, I want to see where he can have some highly skilled line mates playing with him. We're not we're done making excuses. I just want to see what it looks like. See if he can put some in the back of the net and gain some confidence, where instead we're kind of making the decision that it's okay. He's not filling nets with pucks like he said he was going to do. We'll figure it out later. And really, I think it's just, we're so antsy right now. This team could really be at a whole nother level if you think about Zadina playing the way a top 10 pick would be playing normally with this amount of development time. And we're just, we're not there. I mean, it would be great to have Verana here too. And then we're having this whole other conversation where we're making jokes about being in the wild card, at the top of the show. And then I don't know how much that conversation changes. Probably quite a bit if Verana's around and Zadina's playing again, like how I think we wanted him to play. So I think we're all just frustrated that this is going to take longer than we would have liked. But yeah, I don't know. It's super frustrating. Like I said, I think that's the word to land on. I think a lot of people that are begging for him to get traded because the puck's not hitting the back of the net. I mean, just don't forget, like when we talk about expected goals for percentage, there's a whole nother side of that. He's limiting chances as well as Gustav Lindstrom and Osterley and Ernie and Rasmussen did last night too. So I would make the argument, Mike, he brought this line up even with the defensive pairing, but he brought the third defensive pairing with him and the third line, and this turned into line number 2 last night from their performance. So if you still hate Zadina when that was one of the things he did last night, I can't help you. He elevated the third line to being the second best line on the team. So hats off.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind waxing poetic about him because I feel like there's something to wax poetic about Zadina every night, even though he's not scoring. But I didn't know if, because I know we're kind of coming up against it here. If you wanted to touch on
we talked about
the games that have not been canceled yet. It looks like we're still going to be playing tomorrow.
Yeah, we talked about the Robby Fabbri contract way too long. So like we're already a week late with that news too. So, but yeah, we've got the Hurricanes game. I mean, the Red Wings have players going on COVID protocol. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Carolina coming off COVID protocol. It's actually breaking news earlier today that they were going to play tomorrow. The official statement came from the NHL. Simultaneously, the NHL making the statement that they're going back to the old COVID protocols and rules that they carried with them last season. I mean, the numbers are getting so bad. You just hope that enough people are vaccinated so that the death toll doesn't like shoot up. But yeah, I think we're getting closer to that moment where the conversations are going to start that across every sports league, more games probably need to be canceled just to like do everything we can to kind of snuff this stuff out. But Mike, instead, we're going to have people go into an arena and watch a silly game because that's more fun, right? Than
it is
just
more
doing
fun.
Like the easy thing.
Yeah, we've already been to 2 games this year.
So if you want to pick a game to cancel, Mike, I would pick this one based off this chart. No, Carolina Hurricanes secondary color is not blue. They just are that damn good on this chart. Almost top to bottom, Mike. No, they are better than us in every facet of the game. But I guess top to bottom, they for anybody listening to the podcast, we're looking at Jay Fresh's comparison between the Red Wings and the Hurricanes. And when we talk about the blue color, that means any blue color, you're pretty much you're in like the top 10 of the league in statistics and save for power play goals, finishing, and 5-on-5 expected goals against. Carolina Hurricanes are in the top 10 of the league and everything else. Mike, they're top 6 in the league and everything else. And for most of those things, Mike, they're top 3 in the league. And for a couple of them, they're number 1. So, yeah. I wouldn't mind if this game got canceled. I'll put that out there. I'll wait. I'll have him reschedule it when Verana's back. How's that sound? I made a pretty easy call, Mike, in the last game where I said, hey, it's the Islanders. We'll win. And this one, Mike, I'm going to kind of go at it with the same vibe. Hey, it's the Hurricanes. We're on the road. We're going to lose. I'm sorry.
We've built up quite a, I mean, resume here about what happens between road and home games. So I'll say, based on
how are we 500?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, like you'd say Nedeljkovic, but then our ranking is 21 in the league for Jay Fresh's advanced analytics breakdown of goaltending, which out of all positions, probably goaltending is the hardest one to find a way to measure it through advanced analytics. So maybe that's where it comes into play with the narrative of Nedeljkovic playing the puck a lot and kind of going crazy between the pipes. But yeah. But no, Crimson Shadow, that is comment of the episode. Congratulations. Yeah, even performance art with a lull.
Oh my God, that can't be right.
What?
Wow. I think
I'm excited
because
you're about to
we're
say.
going about this can't be right. Okay, it's really good on their behalf. But I know we were talking about like the Red Wings goal differential and how that's kind of an indicator of, what kind of offensive production, what kind of win-loss record you're going to have. And we know we had that really rough week where we basically lost by 3 touchdowns. So our goals for 79 this year, goals against 97. Carolina's at a plus 27. Plus 27. So they've only given up 58 goals this year. They've scored 85. So not one of the top teams, because we know we got some people already hitting the hundreds. Jesus, the Avalanche already have 112. But I mean, this is a superior offensive team. This is a team that's going to be at home. Bet, give me Carolina all day. Sorry.
Yeah,
Performance art, we suck. I don't know. We just I don't know. We're just spitting in the face of God every time we win because statistically we're such a horrendous team. But the win-loss record doesn't indicate that at all. Unfortunately, it probably will by the end of the season. But you know what? We're not going to think about that right now. We're not going to think about how many times we played the Islanders already and kicked their ass.
I think it's just like these numbers are so bad because when we lose
hard.
Rocked. Right. And then we beat the Islanders by 1 goal. So that's probably what's going. That's how you become a 500 team and do this bad in the advanced analytics. Because I mean, just go back to last week, Mike. I don't know what you're talking about.
We need to start going college football. All right, we need to start going college football. And when we play a team that we think we can beat, we pepper them with goals. We get 3 or 4 empty netters. That'll really pump our stats up for this thing.
Yeah, think about the empty net chances we missed last night. Those could have looked better.
Also,
these are all 5-on-5 statistics. Yeah. Wouldn't have counted.
No. If my statistics are off, I want you to realize I'm referencing NHLstats.com. So that's NHL.com stats.
Plus 27? You said, are you looking at Colorado from last year or something? I don't know.
No, I'm looking at Colorado right now. 112 goals for, 86 against.
Oh, goal. Okay. I thought you said they were plus 112, and I was like,
"Oh my God, wow!" No,
what are you looking at? Okay, I feel better now. Here's I haven't finished reading this, but I saw Jeff mentioned. I'm not sure how I feel about Jeff after the season. He looks better with talent, but he is being carried by Larkin, or is he being carried by Larkin, Seider, and Raymond? That depends on how you feel about coaches, I think. Because Mike, have been notorious for arguing Scotty Bowman did a hell of a job of negotiating when
coaching 12 Hall of Famers.
When he would start coaching for the Red Wings was after the team was built to his liking.
How did Bowman do it? How did he find a way to coach Shanahan, Yzerman, Fedorov, Lindstrom, Konstantinov, Larionov, Kozlov, Osgood, Vernon? How did he do it?
And I know this is this puts me in this position where it's just like, what are you kidding? You dare comment on the great Scotty Bowman? But I'm trying to make the point that sometimes the best teams are the best
Jackson
teams.
Win a single title with Shaq and Kobe on the same team. I don't know how he did it. How did Phil Jackson win with Michael Jordan?
Name a successful coach not carried by talent. It's very
Larry Brown. Larry Brown.
There you go. You got one.
He didn't have one top 50 player on that team. And most NBA titles are won with at least a single, usually two top 50 players.
Can I say one thing, though, to kind of like take a dump on Larry Brown?
Sure.
Why did he run away? I think he knew that he wasn't going to be able to get the magic again. I think there was a lot of magic involved with that 2004 Pistons season. And then he ran away and made Flip Saunders try and figure it out. And he wasn't able to. He got to Game 7. It's Game 7 of the finals and then Game 7 of the Eastern Conference the next year. He
got to Game 7 of the finals against the Spurs, and then he lost to the Heat in 06.
Jared's right. Dan Campbell is not being carried by the talent on that Lions team at all. So Jared with the win. He did it. That is the coach that is not being carried by talent.
Can I throw one out there?
Yeah.
AJ Hinch. I don't know who is on this Tiger team, but by God, they were almost good. I don't know any of those guys. I know Casey Mize. He plays once every 5 days.
I'm keeping my mouth shut because I really don't know.
Yeah, who's on the Tigers? Go ahead and name somebody. If you say Cabrera, that doesn't count because he's hurt all the time. Go ahead, name a Tiger batter.
My problem, too, is that we're always playing this game of, like, one coach is the best of all time. And then, like, look at what the Islanders look like this year. And I still, like, Barry Trotz is still one of those coaches to me that I think can travel around and find some victories. I think earlier we were asked about Boudreau, who's now coaching with the Nucks, and they're on a 5 or 6 game winning streak. But I really do think it's the talent around the team. Like, can I just say 99% of the time? So I don't think that you don't win with a dummy, like a really bad coach. But I think I've said it before. I think the margin is like razor thin. And sometimes everything just comes into play. Like it all just clicks.
I don't.
The Canadians almost won the Stanley Cup last year. That's my final point on this. And now they're just in shambles.
I mean, Blashill, I don't know. I don't give him that as much grief anymore because I saw him create a design last year where we could be competitive in games by having the whole team turtle and limit chances. And this year he's got some guys, and so he totally changed his strategy to give more opportunities for a Lucas Raymond to succeed. To make Moritz Seider look like an asset on the offensive side. Obviously, that again ties into talent, but he's finding a way to manage it. And I think we know that this team is about 5 guys deep when you need about 20. So I don't know. I'm still giving Blashill some credit.
I do performance art. You picked Babcock. I do want to dunk on this one real quick, but are we talking about is this a Jaguar year? Where lights out and then when his save percentage dropped, they got swept? Is that what we're because that would be, if it is the Jaguar year, which I could be wrong, that's where I would pull back on that one. Performance art said. I mean, that was the year, Mike, that the losing team got the Vezina winner because Shakir was that good. So they gave him the few times that's happened. All right. That's my argument against it. Again, I don't think my argument is that the coaching, the ability to coach and great coaches and good coaches and okay coaches, I think that margin's razor thin. I think there's some really big dummies that have come along and just really embarrassed themselves. Detroit Lions have really been able to pull those guys in. They're like a magnet. And I think you could stand out as a complete doofus and a moron, but I think when it comes to everybody else, I think it's like razor thin, and it comes down to having at the same time Pavel Datsyuk, Sergei Fedorov, Steve Yzerman, Brad Hall, Dominik Hasek, Thomas Holmstrom, Darren McCarty, Chris Draper, Kirk Mulpey. I'm done. I'm gonna like when that happens, yeah, you're gonna win some cups. Okay. Where was I? Mike, I think we're about ready to wrap up, right? Because I'm picking a loss. Oh, we've got another game, though.
We started talking about the Lions. Yeah, this episode's almost over.
Real quick, Wings and Devils. Yeah. This one is a better matchup. We are home. I'm going to pick the Wingies. So we're going to lose. This is a 500 team, Mike. We're going to get crushed by the Hurricanes, and then we're going to squeak one out against the New Jersey Devils. How does that sound? The now Bernier-less Devils.
I mean, Carolina's a guaranteed loss, and I think that the Devils they struggle to score. This is a pretty good matchup for us to keep up with our season so far statistically, to win a game, still be 500, and still have just god awful ranks and everything else.
Yeah, and I think New Jersey's bad enough too. We actually might see. I'm gonna say one of our players that. On a drought, it'll probably be Bertuzzi, right? He'll go on a tear. He'll put up like 6 goals against New Jersey or something, and then they'll be like, "See, he is the best of all time." Okay,
this feels like a game that Puce is going to get a goal.
That's a good name. I'm hoping it's Zadina.
Give me the pew 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 pews.
Pews. All right, was that all my slides? All right, and we'll probably have. Chris Culo, and of course, Tara Hirose. I don't care. I'm never going to be able to say Kyle's name. I don't care.
Oh, Chris Culo?
Sure. Chris Culo.
Chris Culo.
I don't care. I can't say it. I can't. And that's, of course, because we'll be without Robby, Fabbri, and Michael Rasmussen. So that probably goes into more of the reason why we're going to get crushed. If you're listening to the podcast tonight against Carolina, yeah, I don't know. Maybe Tara Hirose will come in and he'll just be lights out. Can I say though, like that's like a great substitution, Fabbri for Tara Hirose. Can I say that? Is anybody else on board with that? I think if you're going to take out Fabbri and replace him with anybody on the Griffins right now, like Hirose is like an almost perfect fit. Like the thing that Hirose will replace Fabbri for in every facet of the game is perfect, except for the odd circumstance where Fabbri still takes faceoffs. Scratch that. Everything else.
Well, sometimes it's fun to be on an island. Remember Castaway? That could be you, Matt. You and Hirose. Hirose could be your little Wilson.
Jared brought out my favorite name. Miro.
Ivan Miroshnichenko.
This will be our sign off. Thanks for listening to Red Wings Rant. Ivan Miroshnichenko.
Right, and a happy Ivan Miroshnichenko day to you too, man.
Have a good one, everybody. It's not working. Bye.
Uh-oh,